If you guys have been following this channel for very long, or maybe more specifically, if you've been following me on Instagram, you know that for an everyday carry setup as far as cutlery goes, I'll normally carry a modern folder, tactical folder, or a beefy EDC modern folder, and then a traditional knife, a slip joint, or even maybe a Swiss Army knife, kind of like, well, some of these combinations. And I do that because it's functional. If I need the tactical blade for self-defense or for heavy cutting, I have that. And then, for just pulling it out of the pocket and taking care of an easy cutting task, we've got the slip joint, the traditional, or the Swiss Army knife. And here are sort of some of the frequent combinations I might carry. The Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and a Victorinox Cadet. This is the 2015 limited edition cobalt blue, a gift from my customer Lee from the UK. So, there's something I might carry on a daily basis. Let's see what else. What's another good example? Well, here, that's sort of the fast and light combo. This might be the classic combo, the Chris Reeves Sebenza and a number 15 GEC Tom's Choice Barlow. Those go together nicely, don't you think? We've got heavy duty with some tactical ability, ready for anything, and then we've got, great little slicer. You see the theme developing here? Yeah. Or, how about this? Sort of maximum utility combination. The Benchmade 940, a light, fast, and robust utility knife with a, as per the theme, the small, efficient, traditional knife. In this case, it's a multi-bladed small little knife from GEC. Yeah, there's my little traditional backup for the 940. What do you think of that, guys? Isn't that funny? This is the number 98 Texas Camp Knife. New from Great Eastern Cutlery. Stick around and I will tell you about it. It's pretty cool. Hi gang, Rob here. It's the evening of 14 April 2016 and we are going to talk about this behemoth. The number 98 brand new pattern from Great Eastern Cutlery in April of 2016. This is the 98 Texas Camp Knife. And there are some SFOs on 98 frames coming out, but I think just about everything except Roy Humenick's American Whittler special factory order is a Texas something. Whether it's a Northfield, a Titty or a Charlie Campagna SFO, they're all Texas knives. Can you guess why? Can you guess why? Perhaps it's because they're 4 7/8 inches long closed and like 3/4 of an inch thick. At least on this camp knife configuration. And mine is not an SFO. It's just a Northfield unexcelled Texas camp knife. And you'll notice that the image on the tube matches the shield. It's a big old cow's head or a bull's head. And this one is to feature the North American cattle bone at the GEC Bone Works. Bill Howard and his son Billy and the guys at GEC are very proud and very secretive about their bone operation. They're pretty proud of it. So the bone cover is commemorated with a pretty cool NACB bull, North American cattle bone, in gleaming nickel silver. Okay, so what is this knife? And this is the first of two number 98 videos we're going to do on this channel in the next couple weeks. It's sort of built in two configurations: the camp knife with 4 implements, and the Whittler. The Whittler. Yeah, a 4 7/8 inch closed Whittler. That's going to be pretty cool. But we're going to talk about the camp knife tonight. So what is it? Well, it's a big, long cigar frame, very similar in size to the number 53 and 54 knives from GEC, but this one has these gorgeous squared off and chamfered bolsters with one single line, a pretty deep wide line actually, and a bail. And the implements are, get ready, well, you saw it, you're going to see it again, a stunning satin finished clip main, 3 11/16 inches in length, with a gorgeous, perfectly proportioned clip point, machined swedge, long pole, just the slightest bit of recurve in that clip point for accelerated slicing cuts. The stock thickness is beefy. I think it's 1/8 of an inch, but it comes down in its full flat grind to a super skinny dimension behind the edge. Didn't measure it, but let's take a close-up look at our 18 degrees per side secondary bevel, and you can see it's thin. I would imagine it's 12-13 thousandths behind the edge with a big thick spine. What a great, great knife blade. And very nicely done. I did go in, full disclosure, I usually give GEC lots of points for their sharpening notches. I did go in on the main blade and on the secondary sheep's foot and just open them up ever so slightly, which is easy to do. You just grab the edge of your belt sander. Mine's just a little 1x30 Harbor Freight belt grinder. Just open it up a little to let you get to the back of the edge effectively. Oh, did you see that? We've got 3 P's. Say it with me now. Pattern, production, premiere. Yeah, buddy. That means this is the first time this 98 pattern's ever been made. Yeah. What a great all-purpose knife blade that is. It slices, it dices, it pierces, it chops. It probably does. It's wearing my edge, and oh my goodness, is it nice and sharp. We'll talk about things as we get to them. Just a couple issues with this knife, and this isn't going to be a negative review, but notice how there's a little bit of bleed over in the satin. Look at the swedge. Looks like they got a little sloppy applying the satin to the face, and the finish on the swedge does not match the satin on the face of the blade. That I will probably go in and clean that up myself. That, you know, these knives are expensive. They're $163. If you purchase them from collectorknives.net, that's a lot of money for a GEC knife, even though it's very large and it's 4 implements. I would expect that to be a little better. But other than that, you know, the grinds are beautiful. The blade shape is absolutely gorgeous. Take a look here in the pivot area. If you notice, the liners are brass, including the center liner. And look how thick that center liner is. That is one piece. And then when we get down to this other end, to make up for the reduction in thickness of the secondary implements, you can see where right here there's another laminated thickness of brass added right on the end of that spring. See it? What that gives you with these double thick liners. Look, right here. See how we've got another second layer added on both outsides, and then the super thick center section. You think this is a strong knife? I bet it is. I mean, look at the thickness of bolster and liner and then center liner. This knife's not going anywhere. And great walk and talk, and probably only about a 7 on the pull coming out. Maybe 8 in the second stage. It just seems a little firmer, which you want because you want it to lock up solidly. That's probably, I don't know, 10, 11 pounds to break that loose off of its home position. When the main blade is open, I have a perfectly flush spring. When the main blade is closed, I have a perfectly flush spring. At half stop, I have a proud spring. So that's the main. And the tang stamps are Northfield Unexcelled, made in USA. And on the back side, Great Eastern Cutlery, Titusville, PA. Now let's look at the secondary blade, which is going to be a robust sheep's foot. I didn't measure the length on that doggone thing. Better do that. Better do that. You guys want to know? I know you do. We have millimeters shown. Can't have that. We're in America. There we go. Inches. 2 7/16 we'll call that. Nice and broad. Again, super skinny behind the edge. Great little slicer. Look at that straight, true edge, which reveals precision in bevel grinding. Just beautifully done. And nicer swedge work on the sheep's foot than we have on the main blade. And you're going to notice a lot of asymmetry. And this is for clearances as the knife is closed. So everything works and plays well together in the blade well. Look at that. From the tang, look at the right side of the blade. From the tang to where the bevel grind starts, we have a pronounced step right here. And then another one where the swedge starts. And that's needed because another implement is going to nest and end from the other side, about right here where my thumbnail is. And we'll look at it closed in just a minute. And let's back up to this clip point blade a minute. I almost sent it back. Can you see why? I'm holding the knife from 6 to 12. But clearly that main blade is about 1157. You see that big kink? It is kinked. And if you'll remember from my Great Eastern Cutlery tour, all GEC blades are kinked as necessary. The tangs, right where they meet the bevel grind, are annealed or heavily tempered to allow them to bend in that area for final adjustment. It's just done at a little press with some blocks. This one needs a heck of a kink. In fact, it might actually be ground this way, because that's a heck of a kink. And let's look at why it has that little kink. It's not bent. Look at the knife closed. Look at the path that main blade has to take. And then let's come down to the tip. Look at how it just sneaks by that sheep's foot without touching. I mean, there is so very little room in there. This is Great Eastern Cutlery at its best right here. Okay, moving on. Next we have, in this nice little thumb relief, a beautiful punch Reamer all. I believe it's the same implement you see on larger GEC harness jacks. I think these might be flame hardened. Take a look at the heat treat scale in that radius. What a great tool. You might need that when you're camping. And then last but not least, one of the most wicked looking little can openers I've ever seen. And it's sharp too. So we have main blade, sheep's foot blade, awl, punch, reamer, and a can opener. And everything is just done so well. By the way, you guys want to know, don't you? How much does it weigh? More than 2 of those. 6.5 ounces of traditional slip joint folder, baby. This is not a knife that you're going to carry every day. This is a knife that you either have on the shelf as a significant collectible, or you might throw it in the car or the truck with your camping gear. It'll cut up your dinner. It'll open your cans. It'll drill holes. And it will accomplish fine cutting tasks. Oh yes, it will. Blades are 1095 carbon steel, by the way. A knife like this, well used for its intended purposes, I'm sure will develop some patina. The brass will turn brown. The steel will turn black. You'll need to keep it cleaned and oiled. Let's open everything up and take a look at the blade well. Let's see if I can do this without cutting myself. I cut myself all the time. You guys know that. Look at that, would ya? Try not to ram the camera with any knife blades, but I just want you to look closely at the surfaces inside this knife. Everything's done. Every surface, every facet is paid attention to in these knives. It's just how GEC rolls. You can tell from this view this knife wasn't made on the other side of Titusville, if you know what I mean. I don't know if I should do that or not. There we go. Sounds like a 12 gauge. Here's another little nick I'm going to give this knife. Let's see if I can find it here. It must be on the other one. I'm not a big fan of bails, and I'm really not a big fan of bails when they sort of do this. And I've attempted to sort of polish this out, but when it rotates around, you can see how it sort of gouges this bolster right here. I think I might have adjusted that out. Really, as this bail comes around, you need to have clearance in this area, and then it needs to come at the bolster at a bit of an angle, and then where it attaches to the pivot rivet, it needs to come in and then flatten out, so that round boss is in the same plane as the bolster. This one just doesn't have enough width to be able to do that without hanging up right here, which is kind of a shame, but you know what? It's a camp knife. I didn't buy it to be a safe queen, although it'll be pretty rarely used. I could probably send this in and they could fix that for me. I don't know if I will. I probably won't. Let's look at some normal GEC areas to look at. Let's look at spring termination. For a huge knife, do you guys see how straight across these spring ends are? On both ends of the knife. Just beautiful. And I think the Howards watch my videos because all 8 transitions, corners, from bone cover to bolster are dead smooth. Dead smooth. You know, it's pretty hard to make a knife that's 2 or 3 times as big as the knives that you make every day and have them be cosmetically perfect. So, you know, a little character mark here or there, a little no cleanup on a swedge. Okay. Stuff that sort of makes it an individual, I guess. And what a brilliantly constructed knife. Just take a look again at how everything nestles. Let's look at that sheep's foot. See how the punch just nests right? Just clears because of the material removed for that swedge. Just great. No rub. I mean, you don't need to get anything out of the way. If you want to open any of the secondary implements, just grab them and open them up. Nothing rubs. That is pretty amazing. That's all for this one. Stay tuned, guys. In the next week or two, we'll have a look at the cousin, the Texas Whittler, coming up. So we'll put this one back in our pocket as a dedicated, tidy little backup to this here big old 940. I just thought you'd appreciate some cheesy humor tonight. That is all for this one, my friends. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.